Hello. Good evening. Welcome. We're going to get started here. But first, before we get started, I'm going to go over some housekeeping rules and format and that sort of thing. And thank you for your patience, by the way. Competition format and divisions. 100 Black Men of Madison African American History Academic Challenge consists of two divisions of competition, the junior division and the senior division. The junior division includes teams of 2 students who have not yet entered the 9th grade, and the senior division is comprised of 2 students who are in grades 9 through 12. 1 additional student per team, for a total of 3 team members, is allowed to serve only as an alternate in case one of the competing students cannot participate due to unforeseen circumstances. Is my volume okay in the back of the room? Okay, thank you. Competition rules. Eligibility. A local competition of the African American History Challenge is open to students who have not participated in a national 100 Black Men of America African American History Challenge in both the junior and senior divisions. Participation is defined as competing in a round at the national level. Students who attend the national competition as an alternate but do not compete are eligible to compete in a future competition at the local and regional 100 Black Men of Madison competitions. Engagements. 2 teams will compete head-to-head. In this, the junior division, we will be making that call on the fly, as some teams have yet to arrive and some teams are not yet here. Local competition. Each correct answer is worth 5 points. Questions may require multiple answers to earn points for a correct answer. The moderator, me, will read each question in full unless a team buzzes in before the question is completed. The first team to buzz in will be given the opportunity to answer the question. If a team buzzes in before the question is completely stated, the moderator will stop reading the question and ask that team to provide an answer within 10 seconds. If the team's response is incorrect, the question will be read in full by the moderator, and the other team will be given 10 seconds to answer. If the team buzzes in after the question is completed, they will have 10 seconds to consult with their fellow team members before the moderator requests an answer. If the moderator, me, has questions regarding a team's response, the judge will determine if the response is correct. Mr. Murray is the judge. The judge's decisions are final. The team with the most points at the end of the round will compete in the next round when they are called. If the score is tied at the end of the round, a tiebreaker question will be asked, and the first team to answer the question correctly will be declared the winner. The final and championship round rules. The 10-second answer rule for each question will still apply. The judge's rules, or the judge's rulings, are final still, and the team with the most points at the end of the final round will be declared the winner. If the score is tied at the end of the final round, a tiebreaker question will be asked, and the first team to answer the question correctly will be declared the winner. I think I just said that, didn't I? Awards, local competition. The local first place team in each division will represent their school district at the regional competition. The regional competition. The regional competition will take place on March 14th, 2026 at the Doyle Administration Building at 10:30 a.m. You should probably be here at least an hour or so beforehand. Schools that will be involved, I'm going to say an hour or so, Dr. Rose. All right. Schools that will be involved in the regional competition, Madison Metropolitan School District, the Middleton Cross Plains School District, the Verona Area School District, and the Sun Prairie Area School District. And those, my friends, are the rules and format. I would ask if there are any questions, but I'm not authorized to take questions, so we're just going to go forward. Okay, Sherman, you ready? All right. And Senate, you ready? Okay, good luck to both teams. Above all.
Current teams are going to be sequestered.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry about that. We're about to start the competition. Some of the questions may be repeated over additional rounds. So as a result, I'm going to ask all teams not on stage and coaches to sequester yourselves to the rooms where I think we've got snacks and drinks. We're going to get started. You guys are ready? You guys are ready? Okay. Here's your first question. Who wrote the book Uncle Tom's Cabin?
Harriet Beecher Stowe.
Correct.
That's correct. Here's the next question. What is the racial term used when describing people born of one white parent and one black parent?
Sherman.
Mulatto.
That's correct. Here's the next question. According to the text, what were the first two cash crops that plantation systems?
Senate.
Cotton and sugar.
That answer is incorrect. I will finish the question. You don't have to buzz in. I'll finish the question. According to the text, what were the first two cash crops that plantation systems near Virginia were able to produce before industrialization and the invention of the cotton gin?
Rice and tobacco.
That's correct. Rice and tobacco. Here's the next question. 12 Years a Slave is the first-hand depiction of the physical punishment and struggle of what man? 12 Years a Slave is the first-hand depiction of the physical punishment and struggle of what man?
Time.
The answer we were looking for? Solomon Northrop. Here's your next question. What was the name of the combined cases brought to the Supreme Court that determined that segregation in public schools was constitutional?
Sherman.
Brown versus Board of Education.
That's correct. Scorekeeper, score please.
Score. 10 for Sherman, 10 for Senate.
It's anybody's contest. Here's your next question. What was the book Hidden Figures about?
You want to put it a little harder.
Senate.
It told about three women who helped plan the moon landing, I'm pretty sure.
That's a correct answer. Here's your next question. Why did John Wilkes Booth assassinate President Abraham Lincoln?
Sherman.
Because President Lincoln decided to let slaves free.
Judge, would you have her expand on her answer?
Yes.
Would you rephrase that for us, please? Your answer?
Because President Lincoln signed a thing to make all slaves free.
Can you expand a little bit more?
Can you say a little bit more? Can you
Time.
tell me your answer one more time, please.
Because President Lincoln signed a paper letting slaves free that John did not support.
No. It's in between. No.
Pause the time, please. I'll be right back.
I'm going to look up on page, but this is what it says. Because they have the same Emancipation Proclamation. They're trying to say the same paper. That's what they're trying to say, but they didn't say it.
Time can be restarted. I'm sorry, but that answer is incorrect. I'm going to read the question again, Senate, and then you'll have an opportunity to answer. Why did John Wilkes Booth assassinate President Abraham Lincoln?
Because he signed the Emancipation Proclamation.
That answer is correct. We were actually looking for the title of the document that he signed. Here is your next question. Oh, sorry, thank you. Here's your next question. What did the 19th Amendment do upon its ratification in 1920?
Gave women the right to vote.
Yes, that's correct. Scorekeeper, the score, please.
Right at this time, Senate has 20, Sherman has 15.
And there are 2 questions left to go in this round. It is anybody's contest. Here's your next question. President Truman signed an executive order, Order Number 9981, in 1948, which declared that there would be an equal opportunity for and a treatment of all persons, regardless of color or race, in what situation?
Is it military?
That answer is correct.
You have a tie score.
This is the last question in this round. Thurgood Marshall was special counsel for the plaintiffs on Brown v. Board of Education. What constitutional amendment did he say segregation was denying blacks?
The 14th?
That answer is correct. That is the end of round 1. What is the score, Mr. Scorekeeper?
Mr. Scorekeeper, we have Senate at 20. We have Sherman at 25. No, I'm sorry. Who answered the last question?
Sherman
Sherman.
answered the last question
That was
correctly.
Yeah.
Sherman did not answer the last question correct?
They had 20. I'm sorry. It's correct.
Okay, so what is the score?
The score is Senate 25, Sherman 20.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your winner then is Senate. Yeah.
Can you not go by points so it's not over?
Correct.
So, I believe what that means is that at the end of the entire competition, if you have the most points cumulatively, then yeah, you're it. Did I say that correctly, Dr. Rose? Okay, so it's not over. The more points you accumulate, the better your opportunity to become the champion at the end of the day. Everybody got that? All right, so let's go in front and shake hands.
Shake hands.
We're going to start by letting you introduce yourself to the audience. You can just tell them your name and your grade.
My name's Juju, and I'm in 8th grade.
Speak into the mic, please.
My name's Juju, and I'm in 8th grade.
Hello, my name is Sanaya. I'm in 8th grade.
My name's Ross, and I'm in 7th grade.
And my name is Lydia, and I'm in 7th grade.
The microphone? Yes, sir. I don't think we can adjust the volume, but if you pull the microphone closer to your mouths and sort of project when you speak, okay?
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Okay. We're ready to get underway.
Can you move the buzzer down here?
No, because he needs that. He needs to be able to see it. Yeah. Okay. Since everybody's ready, we're going to get started. Here is your first question. Who wrote the book Uncle Tom's Cabin?
Harriet Beecher Stowe.
That's correct. Here's your second question.
No, you can't. They can't.
No, if you participated during the first round, you can come back in here. If you did not participate, you must stay sequestered. If you played, well, who were the schools that played already?
It was Senate.
Senate and Sherman can stay. All other schools must leave. Senate and Sherman are allowed to stay in the room. All other schools must be sequestered. Okay. Here is, are you ready? Are you ready? Okay. Here is your second question. What is the racial term used when describing people born of one white parent and one black parent?
Mulatto.
That's correct. Here's your next question. According to the text, what were the first two cash crops that plantation systems near Virginia were able to produce before industrialization and the invention of the cotton gin?
Rice and tobacco.
That's correct. Here's your next question.
Be fast.
12 Years a Slave is the first-hand depiction of the physical punishment and struggle of what man?
Gordon.
I'm sorry?
Gordon.
Is that your complete answer? I need an answer.
Time.
Yes.
Okay, that answer is incorrect. I'm going to, Toki, I'm going to read the question again and give you an opportunity to answer. You do not have to buzz in. 12 Years a Slave is the first-hand depiction of the physical punishment and struggle of what man?
Time.
The answer we were looking for is Solomon Northup.
Solomon what?
Northup. Solomon Northup. maybe I should pronounce his name Northup. I'll do that, Northup. Northup, Solomon Northup. Here's your next question. What was the name of the combined cases brought to the Supreme Court that determined that segregation in public schools?
Brown v. Board of Education.
That's correct. The entire question was, what was the name of the combined cases brought to the Supreme Court that determined that segregation in public schools was?
Unconstitutional.
Yes, unconstitutional. My notes say constitutional, but the question should be unconstitutional. Mr. Scorekeeper.
The score at this point is Toki has 20 points and O'Keefe has 0.
And there are still 5 questions left to go. It is anybody's contest. Here's your next question. What was the book Hidden Figures about?
Black scientists from NASA who helped plan the first space mission to the moon.
Judge?
Repeat your question or answer.
Could you rephrase your answer, please?
Black scientists are computers from NASA who helped send the first space mission to the moon.
Time. I'm sorry, that answer is incorrect. I'm going to read the question again, and then O'Keefe, you have an opportunity to answer the question. You don't have to buzz in. What was the book Hidden Figures about?
Black women who helped send someone to the moon.
Could you rephrase your question, please? Speak directly into the microphone and project your voice.
Hidden Figures was about a black woman who sent the first man to the moon.
Judge.
I'll accept that one.
Okay, that is the correct answer. We were specifically looking for women, and you said scientists. Now, technically, that's correct, but we were looking specifically for women.
It was 3 black women.
It's 4 black women.
3. Yeah. Okay. Here's your next question. It is still anybody's contest. Why did John Wilkes Booth assassinate President Abraham Lincoln?
Because of his plans to end slavery, his intentions to end slavery during his presidency.
It's
Judge,
half.
do you want to rephrase your question? Are you asking for a rephrase or for an expansion?
Yes.
Could you rephrase and expand on your answer?
John Wilkes Booth assassinated Lincoln because he wanted to keep slavery, and he feared that Abraham Lincoln was a threat to the continuation of slavery.
Correct.
That is a correct answer. Here is your next question. What did the 19th Amendment do upon its ratification in 1920?
The 19th Amendment said that no one could be restricted from voting because of their sex or race.
That answer is correct. Yeah. Here is your next question. President Truman signed an executive order.
The executive order of 9981.
Would you like to would you like to expand on your answer?
Truman signed the executive order 9981.
Is that your complete answer?
What was the number? 9 what? That's correct.
Okay.
We'll take the.
Okay, we'll take that answer. Here is your final question. Here's your final question. Thurgood Marshall was special counsel for the plaintiffs on Brown v. Board of Education. What constitutional amendment did he say segregation was denying blacks?
14th Amendment.
That answer is correct. Score.
Final score. O'Keefe, 10, and Toki, 30.
Toki is your winner.
No, 35, I'm sorry.
Please come forward and shake hands.
35. Shake hands.
Good job, both. Both teams, good job. So I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves right now.
Ollie Singh.
Miles Mack.
There you go.
Daniel Akpara.
Adelia Oketch.
Okay.
I'm set.
Okay.
What do you press?
You press the red button.
The red one?
You can go ahead and test it.
All right.
You can test yours.
Then we put it down.
Okay, here's your first question. Who wrote the book Uncle Tom's...
Harriet Beecher Stowe.
That's correct. Here's your next question. What is the racial term used when describing people born of one white parent?
A mulatto, I don't know how to pronounce it right, but it's M-U-L-L-A-T-O, I believe.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll accept that answer. Here's your next question. According to the text, what were the first two cash crops that...
Rice and tobacco.
That's correct. The question was, according to the text, what were the first two cash crops that plantation systems near Virginia were able to produce before industrialization and the invention of the cotton gin? The correct answer was tobacco and rice. Here's your next question. 12 years of...
Solomon Northup.
12 Years a Slave was a movie about Solomon Northup and his life in slavery and his return to slavery.
The question was, 12 Years a Slave is the first-hand depiction of the physical punishment and struggle of what man? Solomon Northup. Your answer was correct.
Thanks.
Here is your next question. What was the name of the combined cases brought to the...
Right.
Brown versus Board of Education.
That answer is correct. The question was, what was the name of the combined cases brought to the Supreme Court that determined that segregation in public schools was unconstitutional? Brown v. Board of Education. Here is your next question. What was the book Hidden Figures about?
Right.
The book Hidden Figures was about the 400 black women that worked at NASA in the 1940s.
Judge.
That's not the answer, but we'll accept that one. We'll accept it.
We will accept that answer. That was correct answer. The question again was, what was the book Hidden Figures about? And the answer we were hoping for, that we were looking for, was 3 black women who worked for NASA, not 400.
So it should be incorrect then.
So would that be correct?
If she said, you said 400, right? It
Yes.
was 400 women that worked there, but that was not, it was the 3 main women.
The judge has already decided
Yeah.
that answer is correct.
Would that,
So
would
we
that be
take,
correct?
scratch the question.
Okay.
They didn't answer it correctly.
Excuse me?
They didn't answer that right.
It's too late. We've already awarded the points.
All right, got it.
Here's your next question. Why did John Wilkes Booth...
John Wilkes Booth shot President Lincoln in Ford's Theater because he was against the abolishment of slavery.
That answer is correct. Here is your next question. What did the 19th Amendment do upon its ratification in 1920? What did the 19th Amendment do upon its ratification in 1920?
Time.
The answer we were looking for is it gave women the right to vote. Here's your next question. President Truman signed Executive Order 9981 in 1948, which declared that there would be equal opportunity for
Desegregated the armed forces, meaning any race could be part of it.
That answer is correct. Here is your next question. Thurgood Marshall was
Thurgood Marshall was the lead lawyer of Brown versus Board of Education, and that is what specifically made him popular.
That answer is incorrect. I will read the entire question, and Hamilton, thank you, whoever said that. Hamilton, you will have an opportunity to answer the question. Thurgood Marshall was special counsel for the plaintiffs on Brown v. Board of Education. What constitutional amendment did he say segregation was denying blacks? You will not be penalized for a wrong answer. You do not have to buzz in.
Time.
Oh,
Go ahead, keep saying.
11th?
That is incorrect. The answer we were looking for, 14th Amendment. Scorekeeper, score.
Wright Middle School has 35. Hamilton has 5.
What do they have?
I'm sorry, the other way, yeah. Hamilton has 5.
Okay.
Wright, 35.
Okay.
Hamilton, 5.
Okay. Wright Middle School, you won that round. Congratulations. You guys go in front and shake hands, please. Good job, both.
Shake hands. Shake hands.
And remember
Remember,
that at the end of the
do not leave.
at the you can take your seats here in the room, but at the end of the competition, the team that has scored the cumulative most points will be the team that will be our champions. Okay, go ahead and say your name and tell them what grade you're in.
Speak directly into the mic.
My name is Miles Toei, and I'm in 8th grade.
My name is Alicia Travers, and I'm in 8th grade.
My name is Ariana Freeman, and I'm in 8th grade.
My name is Ijitu Jallo, and I'm in 7th grade.
I'm going to need you all to be closer to the microphone and project your voices when you speak into them, okay? Thank you very much. Okay.
Second round.
This is round number 2. It's going to be fun. Here's your first question. What was the name of the white man who made the character Jim Crow by blackening his face and hands with a burnt cork?
I know this one.
What was the name of the white man who made the character Jim Crow by blackening his face and hands with a burnt cork?
Sherman.
Was it Johnson?
Could you repeat your answer, please?
Was it Johnston?
No.
Don't answer me with a question.
Johnston?
That answer is incorrect. I'm sorry. I'm going to, Spring Harbor, I'm going to reread the question and you'll have a chance to answer. A wrong answer will not penalize you. What was the name of the white man who made the character Jim Crow by blackening his face and hands with a burnt cork?
You can say pass if you don't know.
We'd like to pass.
The answer we were looking for is Thomas Rice. They used to call him Daddy. Here is your next question. What was the name of the white supremacist organization in
The Ku Klux Klan.
That answer is incorrect. I will reread the question. Sherman, you have an opportunity to answer after I finish reading the question. What was the name of the white supremacist organization in Hamburg, South Carolina in July 1876 that disrupted black Republican planning meetings and public court hearings to kill black people as a strategy of voter suppression by intimidation? What was the name of the organization?
Time.
I need an answer.
Pass.
The answer we were looking for, the Red Shirts. Here's your next question. What was the name of the notorious white supremacist group that was backed by business owners and some Southern government officials that were against racial equality?
Sherman.
KKK?
That answer is correct. Here's your next question. African Americans often felt powerless in a political sense when trying to register to vote because of the restrictions in place. Name the movement that would address discrimination against African Americans in voting rights, segregation, and education. Name the movement.
Civil rights movement.
That answer is correct. Here's your next question. General William Sherman's Field Order Number 15, issued in January of 1865, is properly...
It offered 40 acres and a mule to the black people.
Is that your answer?
Yes.
That answer is correct. Scorekeeper.
Score, Sherman has 10. Spring Harbor has 5.
Anybody's contest at the midway point. Here's your next question. What were non-slave holding, non-plantation owning white farmers called in the South?
Time.
The answer we were looking for, yeoman farmers. Here's your next question. In 1868, what amendment was ratified which allowed all persons equal protection under the Constitution based on race?
Time.
Need your answer.
The 12th Amendment.
That answer is incorrect. I'm going to reread the question, and Sherman, you do not have to buzz in. You will be given an opportunity to answer the question. You will not be penalized for a wrong answer. In 1868, what amendment was ratified which allowed all persons equal protection of the Constitution based on race?
The 14th.
That answer is correct. Here's your next question. What was the name of the group of students who were the first?
Little Rock 9.
That answer is correct. What was the name of the group of students who were the first to start desegregation in schools on September 4th, 1957, the Little Rock Nine? Here's your next question. In 1896, who was the only Supreme Court justice to dissent in the landmark Plessy v. Ferguson case that instituted the legal framework for separate but equal? Who was the only Supreme Court justice to dissent?
Thurgood Marshall.
That answer is incorrect. I will read the question once again, and Sherman, you will have an opportunity to answer. You do not have to buzz in. You will not be penalized for a wrong answer. In 1896, who was the only Supreme Court justice to dissent in the landmark Plessy v. Ferguson case that instituted the legal framework for separate but equal?
Time.
I need an answer.
Truman?
That answer is incorrect. The answer we were looking for, John Marshall Harlan. This is your final question of the round.
And the score is?
We'll wait.
We'll wait.
We gave a halftime score.
Okay.
We'll wait until the end. Though he was from a state in the North, why was Horatio Seymour known as Copperhead, and what famous executive order from 1863 did he oppose? Why was Horatio Seymour known as Copperhead, and what famous executive order did he oppose?
Because he campaigned on racist themes that were not in agreement with the things that Abraham Lincoln believed, and he opposed Executive Order number 8802.
Is that your complete answer?
Yes.
That answer is incorrect. Sherman, I will reread the question, and you will have an opportunity to answer it. You will not be penalized for a wrong answer, and you will not have to buzz in. Though he was from a state in the North, why was Horatio Seymour known as Copperhead, and what famous executive order from 1863 did he oppose?
Pass.
Okay. The answer we were looking for, Copperhead, is a nickname for Northerners who opposed President Lincoln's restrictions on civil liberties during the Civil War. The executive order that Horatio Seymour opposed was the Emancipation Proclamation. That is the end of round two. Judge, a scorekeeper, can I have a score, please?
Sherman has 15. Spring Harbor has 10.
Sherman is your winner in this round. Please step forward and shake hands. And then you're welcome to have a seat in the audience.
You wrote your scores?
I did. I wrote them down. I'll start with you, young lady. Tell them your name and your grade.
Ollie, 8th.
Your name and your 8th grade? Okay, good.
Miles, 8th.
Okay.
My name's Aras Tunchsoy, and I'm in 7th grade.
My name is Lydia, and I'm in 7th grade.
Okay. Wright and Toki. Toki, are you ready?
Yeah.
Wright, are you ready? Okay. Here we go, round two. Here's your first question. What was the name of the white man who...
Thomas Rice.
That's correct. Here is your second question. What was the name of the white supremacist organization in Hamburg, South Carolina? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to reset the buzzers. So I'm going to skip this. Oh, you saw it?
Well, my light was first.
Yeah, I had forgotten to reset the buzzers. So I'm going to toss that question. Here is your next question. What was the name of the notorious white supremacist group?
Right.
Are you going to answer the question?
Oh, we got it?
They're answering, right?
Do I need an answer? Is it time?
What?
Time.
The Ku Klux Klan?
That is correct.
I didn't know we had it. I thought they were doing it. I thought they were doing it.
They had brung in.
I didn't know we got it.
Here is your next question. As African Americans often felt powerless in a political sense when trying to register to vote because of the restrictions in place, name the movement.
Right.
The move.
Time.
I need your answer.
It's time.
The Voting Rights Act of 1945.
I'm sorry, could you repeat it? I didn't hear you.
The Voting Rights Act of 1945.
That answer is incorrect. Toki, I'm going to read the entire question and give you an opportunity to answer. You do not need to buzz in, and you will not be penalized for a wrong answer. African Americans often felt powerless in a political sense when trying to register to vote because of the restrictions in place. Name the movement that would address discrimination against African Americans in voting rights, segregation, and education.
The Civil Rights Movement?
That answer is correct. Here's your next question. General William Sherman's Field Order
Field Order 15, also known as 40 Acres and a Mule?
That answer is correct. Here's your next question. What were non-slave holding
Yeoman people. Yeoman farmers.
That answer is correct.
I heard the nonsense.
Here is your next question. In 1868, what amendment was...
14th.
That answer is correct. Here is your next question. What was the name of the group of students who were...
Fisk Jubilee Singers?
Repeat your answer, please.
Fisk Jubilee Singers?
That answer is incorrect. Toki, I'm going to read the entire question and allow you a chance to answer. What was the name of the group of students who were the first to start desegregation in schools on September 4th, 1957?
You don't have to ring in.
The SNCC.
That answer is incorrect. The answer we were looking for, the Little Rock Nine. Here is your next question. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Here's your next question. In 1896, who was the only Supreme Court justice?
John Harland.
That answer is correct. Here's your next question. Though he was from a state in the North, why was Horatio Seymour known as Copperhead, and what famous executive order from 1863 did he oppose?
Time.
No answer, no guesses? Okay.
If we guess, do we get points taken away?
No, you will not be penalized.
Oh.
I'll read the entire question again and give you an opportunity again. Though he was from a state in the North, why was Horatio Seymour known as Copperhead, and what famous executive order from 1863 did he oppose?
Is it Executive Order 9981?
That is incorrect. You do not lose any points. Would you guys like to take a shot? Okay, you'll pass. We were looking for, Copperhead is the nickname for Northerners who opposed President Lincoln's restriction of civil liberties during the Civil War. And the executive order that Mr. Seymour specifically opposed was the Emancipation Proclamation. Score, please.
Score at this time is Toki 25 and Wright 10. Did you want to have one more question that we threw out? We threw one out.
Yeah. Sure, I can ask one more question.
Can you
I'm sorry.
reset the buzzer,
Yeah.
please?
Thank you. Thank you.
Which one are you on? Gotcha.
On September 30th, 1962, Southern segregationists rioted and
Colfax Massacre?
Repeat your answer, please.
Colfax Massacre.
That answer is incorrect. I will reread the entire question, and you will have an opportunity to answer. Toki, you will have an opportunity to answer. You will not be penalized for a wrong answer, and you do not have to buzz in. On September 30, 1962, Southern segregationists rioted and brutally attacked federal forces on the steps of this college campus to prevent James Meredith, a United States military veteran, from being this university's first black student. Name either the school or the city where this took place.
Was it Orangetown or Orangeville?
That answer is incorrect. The answer we were looking for, either University of Mississippi or Ole Miss or Oxford, Mississippi. That brings us to the end of this round.
Toki.
Score, please.
Toki has 25 and Wright has 10.
Toki wins this round. Please move forward and shake hands. And remember, the championship is determined by who has the most points at the end of the entire competition. Okay, so perhaps there's a little bit of an explanation that I will try and offer the gallery. This competition is a bracket based on a round robin. And so all of the brackets in round one were full all the way up until tonight, the night of the competition. And at this point tonight, several of the teams were unavailable to participate. And so what we've been doing is trying to, as fairly as is possible, to still keep the teams, still keep the kids in a bracket format and a round robin competition. So that's why you might see everybody's going to get a fair shot. Everybody's going to have the same number of reps, but it just looks a little weird. But there have been some really smart people working on this, smarter than me, really smart people working on this, and I'm pretty confident that they've gotten it right. So if you want to complain to somebody, I'm not the guy. Don't complain to me.
Me either.
So we've got Spring Harbor.
Yes.
And Senate? Okay. Ready? Ed, are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. Spring Harbor, you ready?
Yes.
Senate, you ready? Okay. And you can have your hands close to the buzzer if you want. This is round number 2, and here is your first question. What was the name of the white man who made the character Jim Crow by blackening his face and hands with a burnt cork?
Time.
Yeah, time. I need a conference.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that delay. Are we ready? Okay, here we go. Here's your first question. If the Tom caricature was used to describe men who were loyal, gleefully obedient, enslaved servants to their masters, what term was used to describe the female caricature equivalent?
Aunt Jemima.
I'm sorry, once again?
Aunt Jemima.
That answer is incorrect. Spring Harbor, you have an opportunity to answer the question. You do not have to hit the buzzer. You will not be penalized for a wrong answer. I will read the question again. If the Tom caricature was used to describe men who were loyal, gleefully obedient, enslaved servants to their masters, what term was used to describe the female caricature equivalent? You don't have to hit the buzzer. Just give me an answer.
Angela?
I'm sorry?
Angela?
That answer is incorrect. The answer we were looking for is Mammy. Here's your second question. When comparing the styles of bringing about change to the black community, one was that of nonviolence, which was strongly adopted by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. However, there was a more militant style of approach to bringing change for black people by what famous orator who was assassinated on February 21st, 1965 in Harlem, New York?
Time.
I need your answer.
Malcolm X?
I'm sorry?
Malcolm X?
That answer is correct. Here's your next question. During the industrialization, what invention led to the production?
The cotton gin?
That answer is correct. Here's your next question. On July 2nd, 1964, what law ended segregation in all public places?
The Civil Rights Act.
No.
Time.
I need your answer.
The Civil Rights Act.
Is that your complete answer?
Of 1968.
Give me your answer one more time.
The Civil Rights Act of 1968.
That answer is incorrect. Senate, I'm going to read the question, and you will have an opportunity to answer. A wrong answer will not penalize you, and you will not have to buzz in. On July 2nd, 1964, what law ended segregation in all public places while prohibiting gender and racial discrimination in the workplace?
The Civil Rights Act?
Is that your complete answer?
I guess.
That answer is incorrect. The answer we were looking for, the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Here is your next question. What was the name of the research study that was conducted by the United States Public Health Services between 1932 and 1972 that observed the natural progression?
The Tuskegee syphilis experiment.
That answer is correct. Scorekeeper.
Right now, we have Spring Harbor at 15 and Senate 0.
It is at halftime, and it is anybody's contest. Here's your next question. Due to the constant struggle to keep a balance between slave and free states, the Missouri Compromise of May 1820 was established. What were the three components of this compromise? Note, all three provisions must be given for the credit of this question. All three parts of the Missouri Compromise.
Can you repeat the question?
I can. Due to the constant struggle to keep a balance between slave and free states, the Missouri Compromise of May 1820 was established. What were the three components of this compromise?
Time.
The answer we were looking for: 1, the Union admitted Missouri as a slave state. 2, Maine was admitted as a free state. 3, slavery was prohibited in the Louisiana Territory. Here's your next question. What was the name of the law signed by Franklin D. Roosevelt which made racial discrimination in hiring illegal, opening recruitment of minorities in the federal workforce?
Time.
This is the answer we were looking for. Executive Order 8802, or the Fair Employment Practice in Defense Industries. Here's your next question. What was the term for enslaved men, women, and children who fled plantations, many times arriving at Union Army camps seeking freedom?
Fugitive?
That answer is incorrect. Senate, I will read the question again. You have an opportunity to answer. You will not have to buzz in. You will not be penalized for a wrong answer. What was the term for enslaved men, women, and children who fled plantations, many times arriving at Union Army camps seeking freedom?
Time.
The answer we were looking for, contrabands. Here's your next question. Although the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing occurred on September 15, 1963, those responsible for the bombing were not punished until the 21st century. Name one of the three men responsible for this senseless act.
Bobby Cherry?
That answer is correct. We were looking for Thomas Blanton, Bobby Cherry, or Herman Cash. Here is your next question. The Kent State shooting was a tragic loss of life of white college students that gained momentous national response along with a $675,000 payout by the National Guard to the victims and families. However, 2 years earlier, there was a massacre that was less televised, which left 31 young black Americans shot and 3 dead, making it the first massacre on any college campus. What was the name of that?
The Orangeburg Massacre?
Is that your complete answer?
Yes.
That answer is incomplete. I'm going to read the question, and Senate, you will have an opportunity to answer the question. You will not be penalized for a wrong answer. You do not have to buzz in. The Kent State shooting was a tragic loss of life of white college students that gained momentous national response along with a $675,000 payout by the National Guard to the victims and families. However, 2 years earlier, there was a massacre that was less televised, which left 31 young black Americans shot and 3 dead, making it the first massacre on any college campus. What was the name of that massacre?
Time.
The answer we were looking for, the Orangeburg Massacre of 1968.
You were halfway right.
Scorekeeper.
Final score, Spring Harbor, 20. And Senate, 0.
There is your winner, Spring Harbor. Please meet in the front and shake hands. Good job, both of you. Good job, both of you. Coming into the home stretch. This is your first question. If the Tom caricature was used to describe men who were loyal, gleefully obedient, in slave service to their masters, what term was used to describe the female caricature equivalent?
A fancy maid?
Please repeat your answer.
Fancy maid?
That is incorrect. O'Keefe, going to give you an opportunity to answer the question. I'll repeat the question. If the Tom caricature was used to describe men who were loyal, gleefully obedient, enslaved servants to their masters, what term was used to describe the female caricature equivalent? You will not be penalized for a wrong answer.
Time.
Got nothing?
No.
Okay. The answer we were looking for is mammy.
Oh.
Here's your next question. When comparing the styles of bringing about change to the black community, one was that of nonviolence, which was strongly adopted by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. However, there was a more militant style of approach to bringing change for black people by what famous orator who was assassinated on February 21st,
Malcolm X.
That is correct. Here's your next question. During industrialization, what invention led to the production of the most profitable cash crop?
Forgive me for my pronunciation. The cotton pig, or
Move your hand from your mouth.
the cotton pig, or cotton pig. It's a wheelbarrow. The cotton pig or pig. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry, but yeah, if that's incorrect, that's okay.
Does your partner know how to pronounce it?
Cotton pig? Are you asking me? Yeah, I'm asking you. Do you know how to pronounce it?
Say it.
What is your answer?
Cotton pig.
That answer is incorrect. Do you need for me to read the question for you? Okay, what is your answer?
Cotton gin.
Yes, that is the correct answer. Cotton gin. Here's your next question. On July 2nd, 1964, what law ended segregation in all public places while prohibiting gender and racial discrimination in the workplace?
Can you repeat the question?
I can. On July 2nd, 1964, what law ended segregation in all public places while...
Emancipation Proclamation.
See the microphone, please.
Emancipation. No. Wait.
The Emancipation Proclamation.
That answer is incorrect. Do you need me to reread the question?
Yes, please.
On July 2nd, 1964, what law ended segregation in all places, in all public places, while prohibiting gender and racial discrimination in the workplace?
Constitutional law.
That is incorrect. We were looking for the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Here's your next question. What was the name of the research study that was conducted by the United States Public Health Service between 1932 and 1972 that observed the natural progression of an untreated disease over time, but only in black Americans?
Like the disease?
What was the name of the research study?
Can you please repeat that?
The question is, what was the name of the research study that was conducted by the United States Public Health Service between 1932 and 1972 that observed the natural progression of an untreated disease over time, but only in black Americans?
Time.
The answer we were looking for, the Tuskegee syphilis study.
Dang.
Here's your next question. Due to the constant struggle to keep a balance between slave and free states, the Missouri Compromise of May 1820 was established. What were the three components of this compromise? I'll reread the question. Due to the constant struggle to keep a balance between slave and free states, the Missouri Compromise of May 1820 was established. What were the three components of this compromise? What were the three components of this compromise?
Time.
The answer we were looking for: 1, the Union admitted Missouri as a slave state. 2, Maine was adopted as a free state. 3, slavery was prohibited in the Louisiana Territory. Here's your next question. What was the name of the law signed by Franklin D. Roosevelt which made racial discrimination in hiring illegal, opening recruitment of minorities in the federal workforce? What was the name of the law?
Repeat the question, please.
I can repeat the question. What was the name of the law signed by Franklin D. Roosevelt which made racial discrimination in hiring illegal, opening recruitment of minorities in the federal workforce?
Jim Crow laws? The Jim Crow laws.
That is incorrect. Do you need to hear the question again?
Yes.
What was the name of the law signed by Franklin D. Roosevelt which made racial discrimination in hiring illegal, opening recruitment of minorities in the federal workforce?
Time.
The answer we were looking for: Executive Order 8802. Here's your next question. What was the term for enslaved men, women, and children who fled plantations, many times arriving at Union Army camps seeking freedom?
Time.
The answer we were looking for: contraband. Here's your next question. Although the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing occurred on September 15, 1963, those responsible for the bombing were not punished until the 21st century. Name one of the three men responsible for this senseless act of terrorism.
Time.
The answer we were looking for: you could have given us any one of these three: Thomas Blanton, Bobby Cherry, or Herman Cash. Here is your next question. The Kent State shooting was a tragic loss of life of white college students that gained momentous national response, along with a $675,000 payout by the National Guard to the victims and families. However, 2 years earlier, there was a massacre that was less televised, which left 31 young black Americans shot and 3 dead, making it the first massacre on any college campus.
Colfax Massacre.
That answer is incorrect. I will finish reading the question. 31 young black Americans shot and dead, making it the first massacre on any college campus. What was the name of that massacre?
Time.
The answer we were looking for: Orangeburg Massacre of 1968. Scorekeeper.
Hamilton, 5, and O'Keefe, 5.
All right, then we go to a tiebreaker. Here's your tie-breaking question.
Which one?
Number 1. We good?
Good.
Okay. Who did Benjamin Banneker, one of the first black Americans to gain distinction in science, write to try and change his mind about his beliefs that blacks were inferior to whites? Who did Benjamin Banneker, one of the first black Americans to gain distinction in science, write to try and change his mind about his belief that blacks were inferior to whites? Whose mind did he try to change?
Abraham Lincoln.
That answer is incorrect.
Franklin. President Franklin.
What's your answer?
Franklin.
Franklin. That answer is incorrect. The answer we were looking for is Thomas Jefferson. We will go to a second tie-breaking question. Name one. Oh, thank you. Whoever said reset, thanks. Okay, thanks. Name one of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s 6 principles of nonviolence.
Time.
I will repeat the question. Name one of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s 6 principles of nonviolence.
Time.
No answer? No guess?
They have to end it.
Okay. We were looking for any one of the following answers. Nonviolence is a way of life for courageous people. Nonviolence seeks to win friendship and understanding. Nonviolence seeks to defeat injustice. Nonviolence holds that voluntary suffering can educate and transform. Nonviolence chooses love instead of hate. And finally, nonviolence believes that the world is on the side of the just. All right. We're going to have to say it was a tie.
Yes.
Congratulations. Y'all take center stage and shake hands. This is the fourth and final round.
Too tall for me.
Here, students, is your first question. What is the name of the person that was killed while standing on the balcony of the...
Martin Luther King Jr.
That's correct.
Oh, I thought it was going to be that.
Here's your second question. What does eugenics refer to?
Eugenics is a word derived from Greek meaning well-born.
That's correct.
Thank you. Wait, because I thought they said 2 words.
Here is your next question. William H. Council wrote The Negro Laborer, a word to him during post-Reconstruction. What was this literary work designed to do?
Time.
The answer we were looking for What was this work designed to do? It was designed to coach, mentor, and uplift black workers as they sought to compete for jobs post-Reconstruction. Here's your next question. What was the name of the 14-year-old boy?
Emmett Till.
Emmett Till.
Emmett Till.
Emmett Till.
That is correct.
We're a little too eager.
Here's your next question. During World War I, which president made sure that military troops were segregated?
Time.
I need an answer.
Woodrow Wilson.
Correct.
That answer is correct.
Oh!
Here's your next question. Who is the famous Norman Rockwell painting, The Problem We All...
It is based off of Ruby Bridges' experience.
That answer is correct. Here's your next question. What was the infamous racist Eugene Bull Connor's job title for the city of Birmingham during Birmingham's D-Day civil...
Public Safety Administrator.
Is that your complete answer?
Public Safety. That's Public Safety.
That is an incomplete answer. Would you like to hear the question?
Yeah.
What was infamous racist Eugene Bull Connor's job title for the city of Birmingham during Birmingham's D-Day civil rights demonstration in 1963? A demonstration well known for producing the internationally spread images of black teens getting hit with fire hoses and being attacked by dogs.
Reset.
Is it the Red Summer of 1919?
That is incorrect. The answer we were looking for is Birmingham Commissioner of Public Safety.
Reset.
Here's your next question. On December 5th, 1955, the Montgomery bus boycott began. Name one of the means described in the book on how black Americans get to where they needed to go.
They walked. Or marched.
That's correct. That's a correct answer. Here is your next question. Who were the founders of the Black Panther Party in Oakland?
Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton.
In response to the assassination of Malcolm X.
Yeah.
That answer is correct. Here is your final question of this round. Besides South Carolina, name one of the only Confederate states to unanimously vote to secede from the Union.
Mississippi.
That answer is incorrect. I will read the question again. You will not be penalized for a wrong answer. You do not have to buzz in. Besides South Carolina, name one of the only Confederate states to unanimously vote to secede from the Union.
Alabama.
That answer is incorrect. The answer we were looking for was North Carolina. Scorekeeper.
The score. Toki has 5, and Wright has 30.
30.
That gives us final score of Toki 65, Wright 75. A round of applause for both of these really strong teams. That was high energy performance, no question about it. Congratulations to all of you. Shake hands, please.
And I want you to stay up here. I want you to stay up here. I need you to stay up here. Hold on.